Još uvijek mi ne da mira. Still struggling, but every day I learn something new, and this is really like under the belt, the system which they built. So this console or mixed consoles, like in device manager, maybe 20% max belongs to this computer. Max, and storage, and they use storage as RAM, so it's all remotely hijacked. And now I deleted everything, but it's such big and annoying job to read everything and then to test it. Let's hope it will survive, if not Linux. So still wasn't able to put my last video in a format so Olympic wouldn't recognize it, and ban it. So I have like a few more options, but every second I lose is one day gain. So in the meantime, because somehow I felt up to it, to continue this cat and mouse game, and I did have some doubts that some bots were involved, some algorithms, some mechanical machine learning and so. But now, because I think I could pass the bar now. Those terms, it's basically responsibility, accountability, advanced permissions, protocols, hierarchy, auditing, checking, blah 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 blah, everything included. It's like you go to a really like Starship Enterprise embassy when you learn that each word on English. That's why you don't have windows in other languages, but actually English is also, I just was now I'm leaving this guy to sleep because he had been using 200 gigabytes of my storage for backing up immediately when I delete something, plus a lot of storage for gigabytes for mining and taking over. But he's done, he's finished, and it's a person, because the Petrus are really, it's not by me, thank God. I know I'm much more, I like it to be sexy and to make a story and to be one of a kind, and not, my father used to say, we did this once, first time, last time, and never again. But it doesn't have to be anything bad, it can be good. And that's what I aim for now. But I have some I would like to present you this video and those things. I started translating. Now I have full access, even though it's really complicated. It's really complicated. But now every day I gain more and more ground, and I play like that I pushing into the corner, and then I go somewhere else, and my mistakes are purposely and are not based on rules, and I purposely take that into consideration, which I don't think if a machine could do it, it would have spirit, definitely. So for me personally, I feel I have spirit. If a machine can do it, respect. It's much more durable than organic matter when it doesn't stink, when it dies or rots or whatever, But like minimum 80%. I had to. I don't want to. It's overwhelming. It's overwhelming. It's overwhelming. It's organization is a small word. It's an understatement. If I would say it's the NSA, it's the FBI or something like that, they work in such environments, but they work physically, so they have some how do you call that, bias. They have some time bias between the action reaction and checking it up, but based on this, if you can or you cannot, there is really in those organizations like Windows or any OS, it's an organization, and you have to comply by those principles, which are really similar to governments, militaries, police, because there is somebody who is the owner in charge, or the user. Okay, the user is not the owner, but let's say he is. And he gives you, either he gives you permission or he doesn't give you permission. You have allow, deny. There is nothing in between. You cannot give somebody access to allow him to write and execute, and don't allow him to read or deny him to read. But actually, those leaks are being exposed, and that by let's say operators, if we would put it in program terms, which came out of the law industry, out of the justice, paraphrasing, and being really, really specific and undoubtful, and leave no space in between. So when I was changing the names to Croatian, in one point it turned out to be fun. For instance, I had autoplay. I couldn't know how will I translate it autoplay in Croatian. I had something like upaljači I pokretači. That's like lighters and starters. Then I had we cannot translate it, but in Croatian, if somebody is horny, he is turned on. Not turned on, paljeno, but he's on flame. Literally, that's the verb. So I use that because I was thinking, what's autoplay? Autoplay is somebody who is either very, very let's pause. Yeah, either very excited or impatient, but it still doesn't explain autoplay. Autoplay has priority before everybody else. It's like I had also like an idea to call it some sort of embassy or some sort of office where diplomatic Maltesian law applies, but in a numerical system. And then, which was the next one? Yeah, then the next one was based upon the idea of who can autoplay, because we have like I wanted to use specifically Croatian words. In if I found a word which wasn't the origin wasn't Croatian, I had to do it, and it's fun. But I was going to if somebody doesn't need a supervisor, he he sort of can autoplay, but being as a action, not being as a state. Like autoplay means state. whatever it is, or state of it. We're used to this word, but actually it doesn't have a meaning. We got because it's just a subject without an object, or vice versa. In Croatia, we luckily still have uh, words which are really found in empirically out of necessity and survival. And but that was the idea, I have to somehow explain what's autoplay. And then in the end, I remember this guy, Zmajo Chipova, and then I called them all Zmajevi od Šipova, dragons of Šipova. Regarding these systems, I don't call them computers, I call them systems. I have like this angle, like a lawyer, but not a lawyer who wants to protect you, but who wants to expose. How they say, it's not important. The, it's important what you can prove, not what anything else is. What's black and white on paper. And there are people who are better in writing and verbalizing, argumenting, blah 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 blah. But that's like they made you feel like you don't know things about computers. Like IT and computers is something totally different, but it's actually the same principle, environment based on it. So if you go to, let's say, your apps or your programs and features, whatever, and you see a bunch of things you don't know what it is, but you can assume. And if you dig Windows, it's called, because every time you open something, a new window pops up, and that's called like File Explorer or Window Explorer. I don't know now, but that's the difference between Windows and other systems. Okay, the other have uh, use it because it's really convenient. But I have this last era of Steve Jobs MacBook, and it's the only MacBook I had. And the terminal, or I forgot what's it called, the yellow, the red, and the green, when you and the hallmark in those things, and the touchpad, when you get into it, it has like a really, those things are. It's an emotional thing. It's a, like romantic relationship. Me with my, let's say, this TV is LG TV, but it's the first generation of plasma. I can lock it. I can. The colors are wonderful. I wouldn't give it up for no money, and I hope I will have it forever. Uh, that's why I feel sorry for my patients, because they're having like third stage cancer and are boiling and cooking, overcooking, and if anything inside. BIOS means E is input, O is output, S is system. Binary, exactly binary. It's 0 and 1. 0 is true, this is false. And chips make it like it's universe. It has to happen. Something out of necessity and survival. And the other one who do use others, which they are exposing, they get so much used to it that their survival instincts weren't needed anymore, and their brain started slowly to uh, atrophy. Whereas which had it, let's say, you have to survive. It reminds me of that fish with the wings. You either die or you make it, but you keep fighting. You keep fighting. And somebody asks, why do you keep on fighting? The answer is, If I would have anything better to do, I wouldn't fight. Even though I'm to the last bone, to the last, no false bones. No false bones. I'm still learning myself, every day, every day, and I'm open to it. No exclusion, only inclusion. If you have a problem with something, that's basically your problem because you are not able to deal with it. Politicians are using the same principle to get elected because let's say the most of the people aren't smart and they're able with their intelligence to read the people and their thinking and their way of understanding. So it really, really takes talent to be able to do that consistently and have like a career and go to pension via this because you just you're like a radio. You can understand the frequencies of those people. You do not care about them, maybe. But even though, who is more, not say let's more important, but whose impact is more powerful? Somebody who has like really clean sheet, and everything by the book and all A plus, but tends to not be as processing wise efficient using the tongue and the brain and the gaps in between the vowels, and you have to have this. it's it, it's it's an art. So basically what parliaments are testing ground for new languages because you have like people who study language and understand their own language be able to use it at the highest, most responsible level. And the background is we we are as systems not uh, loaded with enough diversity. We also function binary, and we explain nature binary and polarly, but we don't take into consideration which those guys take into consideration. Because if you have true and false, now you have to find the opposite. Okay, opposite of true is untrue. Opposite of false is unfalse, and then you go from there. What's unfalse? Unfalse. Does it have to be true? Does untrue have to be false? And you go from there, and you get to a point where you have to include double negation. I don't know, with dupla negacija, mirroring, immersion, sandboxing, uh, bait and diversion, subconscious. You have to understand your RAM as well. How your memory actually works. Your active memory, your passive memory, and your semi-passive or associate, whatever it is. You have. I have like some uh, short circuits which are shorting out, and I learned to use them for things which I don't want to remember, like an elephant. You know, the elephant remembers only which is important, and I didn't know that until Aline told me. But I kind of can relate to that very much. And I just go to that channel where there is dead end. There are some circuits in my head which are have a loop motion, but you could basically call that the processing frequency. But I haven't given any thought till now about that, so I am kind of high and am already in this computer tactics, and just want to see if I piss him off. I'm telling you, I know it's a being, because he gets pissed off and he gets mad. A machine wouldn't get mad; it would shut down. Or like in war games, the best move is not to play. But here it's different, because here it's like I made them take it personal, because I was always joking with them, and it is like humiliating, which I did to them. Aikido wise, I use their tools. Only thing I use is their refresh, processing vigilance, awareness, autonomous system control, and everything else is sense and reaction time. Actually being in the moment, not thinking about anything. But the simplest explanation. I I I, I really didn't did. For me, it was so natural to get rid of unimportant things that it opened my mind up, and it works. It works, even though I consume a lot of things, but that's good, because if you don't think, if you just do it in a moment and rely on your resourcefulness and experience and feel, because I like risk. I like risk. Half of the time you lose, even more half of the time you lose, but I will never stop taking risks, because I those situations aren't thought out, and that which I can see why those people, or whichever it is not me, because I would never play so conservatively. I would never be so uh, reserved. I play to win. I don't play to keep playing. I don't have time. I don't have time for one play. Let's get it over with, and then let's do something other. And why? Warum? This all is so bittersweet and tolerable. It's because it gave me a really conclusive understanding. Not it, it gave me hope, because let's say if somebody could control time, then he would know everything which happened. But here I know out of the reaction, out of the negative and very overreacted and impulsive reactions, that it didn't go to plan. It didn't go according to the box, whatever, let's say. That gave me hope to continue playing. I know their aim is to destroy me. Not to destroy me in terms, they're too late. They have tried, but they wanna discredit me in every way and making me feel and keeping me like really, really under the radar, low existence, low income, so I don't get any wings. But I kind of, the approach for them came out of those computers, because at firstly it was always when something didn't work. It's like 20 years ago. If something didn't work, you erase it and you boot it again. I clean it. I clean everything and everything new. And I got like, for me this approach was like boring, and not no intuition, no creativity, no spontaneousness. I have never done exactly something twice the same. I always want to see how it will be, if because I can remember those things, and that's what which is fun, and especially if it works, because if I catch myself, I can freeze. I don't glitch, I freeze. And within this freeze, I will decide if I will. It's like a split moment. But enough. I am trained to see, to absorb and detect the signals from somebody who wants to help me or is on my side, which they did not expect from me, is that I wouldn't play their game and that I wouldn't back off, and I wouldn't sit down in a corner till the dust the flames are over, and then live like on my knees. No, I invented my game, but I made them slip into it unawarely, because it was actually emulator of their system. Only they use those binary 0 and 1, true and false. And me, I use what's called like real life terminologies, where you have a half truth and half false. Computers bias, no. But if you have no hierarchy, no administrator, no boss, chief, whatever, blah blah blah, nobody has full control and special permissions. You don't need a closed up system. You can leave things, you branch out, but just don't be ignorant. Because human language, which I have learned from my experience being alive 39 years, almost 40, is language makes people argue. It makes them disagree almost exclusively, and if they do agree, it's based on some internal sympathy, or I mean, there are people who are on the same side in those things, but I think 99% of communication is miscommunication, and it's deliberate. It's deliberate, and it's not out of experiment. Okay, let's find a new a system where we could use half truth and half false alongside truth and false. That would be like, can you imagine such universe? Can you imagine if you believe in the universe and Big Bang? Imagine it like exploding or imploding. It's like on steroids. But we don't like to handle things which are complicated. We'd rather, most of the time, we avoid taking any responsibility. But at the same time, we take part in giving our opinion. That's what it's called, opinion. Everybody has an opinion. That's why it's called an opinion. Because you can have it no matter what you think, and you can say it. For me, it's over with this. I either communicate, okay, but no trivial talk, no small talks. I just thought when this COVID was, the language and the grammar is such an interesting computer language, programming language. So you split up all science, so you lose all academy. You have nobody who is fully schooled like it used to be. So you tend to know nothing about, let's say, if you're like a mechanic, you don't nothing about kidney surgery, and if you're a kidney surgeon, you don't know nothing about ice cream production. So you tend to believe them, and you don't have time for it, or you don't have the interest for it. But but this COVID shit. I mean, I did went to medical school, and still mathematics and logics has always been and like that's the foundation. If you have like I have a false positive and false negative, and I have a window time because that's so nice with the like antigen. It's antigen. It's like an antichrist. It's not okay. It's antichrist. What are you? I'm omni. Omni sotona. What you're? I'm pan cosmos. What are you? I'm what's opposite of pan? Something which pulls inside. I am intro black hole, whatever, which is just black magic fencing with white magic. But it's like fencing. Who has time for fencing? I mean, if you know what I mean, in growth-wise, think-wise, mind-wise, progress-wise. That's what they want us to do. They want us to fence. So we lose energy on each other. We gain nothing. They're even lazy to invent something, because they don't think of it. They have no passion for us, no understanding. No, they don't care. They wouldn't come to a point where they're like, oh, poor guys, they're so fencing, and I'm just watching it for eternity, and I feel so sorry. Let's invent something new. What could we do? They cannot do it by themselves. Somebody has to invent it by chance, and then they will gladly promote it as a new algorithm, and then you will get poor naive guys like Tesla and Einstein. It's like the point in time where they need some shit to go down. It's like blue screen. We need a blue screen. I'm out of processing. I'm out of memory. I don't know. Make a flood and and then make that it's dry, and then make tsunami, and by time if you don't can release pressure from the system, you have to decompress it. You have to like that's the difference between BIOS and those guys. BIOS starts with taking into consideration that input and output is balanced, just logically. I don't know. No, it's it's tangible in terms of envisioning. That should be the guide, the compass for decision making for everyone. No one has the same. So with using our language, we can get from any point to any point. We can, let's say, deduct vase to silicium oxide, but when we go back, we won't get the vase. We will get the glass, or we will get the ashtray, or we get a windshield. That's how fucked the language is in terms of those. I would really call the Neanderthal primitive reasoning. There's more to it if you accept it, if you're not ignorant. But you have to break yourself. If you don't break yourself, it's like pressure, tension. There is always, when you're like not in the moment, it's you're not able to handle it, and you won't handle it, and you get like, at least I do, my back head becomes very hot, very hot. And if you don't avoid those situations and don't have any excuses for going into the ring every time, each time, the brain is also a muscle. It's just you just stress it a little bit. That's how the brain works, how it grows. It uh, it wants situations where it like barehanded, no time, no just pure instinct, resourcefulness, and intuition, improvisation based on what you have learned by then and which you feel might work together and nobody has used it before in this combination. It's magic. I don't know if you can see, but basically it's the BIOS. And of course, legacy, everything is the same. UEFI, it works via UEFI and via the comments, but you have to see this. This is so cool. I have never seen this. BIOS auto power on, disabled every day. Which time? 0. That's like, which I did here. Now, no boot options. That wasn't so much the important. I cleared the TPM and I restored the factory defaults, and I also had some here. I think, where is this? Action key mode disabled, fan always on, and here secure boot, I cleared all boot keys and loaded factory HP, so now it's all clean and it should work. Let's hope. I wanted to put it in legacy, but I don't have an OS which would work with it, save changes. Yes. I really don't think those guys who build computers have such unnecessary lines and chapters, and I think this BIOS is not original, because every time when I have some situation like this, I get some words where at least at one point you will have abbreviation you don't understand, and the explanation on the right side will be these three letters means if they're enabled, that they are switched on when you enable them, and if are they disabled, they make it purposely that they don't give you any explanation of the abbreviation, but it it it's part of the system. So I'm like having 10,000 cores active at 100 CPUs because it's a rabbit hole, this universe, and uh, I will try to explain it because I'm like multi projecting at the moment and multi visualizing, which may sound a little bit odd, but actually it has all the same foundation. So if let's say programming, mathematics, law, uh, most of these things are based on some rules. We uh, evolved, and the words evolved, and everything else evolved out of an experiment, maybe. Let's say uh, I'm like, I said, speechless, out of mind. It's the best and the worst thing at the same time, but it's an explosion of something new. It's a soup. It's a soup of data, which through un this passive influx gets somehow stirred up into a thought stew. I will try to explain because it's so many things. Firstly, we have this binary nature, which at some point in time there was a rule, which in our age and time had become and inherited the definition and of being truth or false. The mind wanted to have something tangible, which he can explain to others. How we started to use language, that's really interesting because I think if I was born outside of society, I wouldn't use uh, my tongue so excessively, because we have a lot of vowels, we have a lot of words without roots, uh, etc. Translators AI. But here it's the main thing which fascinates me in everything else is that nobody thought of the 0 and 1 to be true or false in the beginning. They had a different approach to have either some, I don't know how they think, but I don't think it's the same version of us. It's a different version, but intuition wise and unique wise, it's a good foundation. Let's say they didn't know about numbers, and the Arabic numbers weren't important. The important thing is the main hypothesis. Would it be like two extremes, like black and white? How do you look through it? Do you look at it through emotion, through color, or from some other point of view, like we have now computing? It's uh, I think that time and space is just a coincidental product of implementation of this ruler nature of this version of the present reality. I think it's great that things can happen by chance, but still, I think that binary, the absolute extremes, they cannot be used as a tool for bringing people together. And then I will show you why I was pissed with this. But I'm so much learning about this actually, because my computers are from organizations which have like from a legal standpoint, it's their property. So you don't keep stuff when you're in a data environment. You get rid of it. You don't get rid of it. You destroy it. That's the perfect word. That's, you don't archive it. You don't archive anything which you don't need. Why? Because potentially you will can have some problems in the future, because you're aware of this nature of language which can be misinterpreted depending on the jury, on the judge, on the listener, and it's like it makes sense just to better to avoid than to think about this subject. But if you can understand the consequences of this not bipolar, but this polar nature of everything, you know that actually there is no truth and there is no false. It's just our closest thing which we can sort of try to uh, tend to have the illusion we understand, but I think it's deliberate. Uh, but it's so hard to explain because it's so many things touching here. Here it's like where we have actually totally lost the ability to communicate, except if we stop talking. Interesting. Personal computer. What is a computer? A computer, when I look at it now, it's just two extremes. Something which is very likely to have not the same opinion if you look at it through opinion. If we could look at it like an art, like painters do with colors, or let's say drugs like LSD, I don't know, those hallucinogens, mushrooms, whatever, we struggle with 3D reality. With 3D space, we have problems. With gravity, we have problems. And when you go to with those drugs through dimensions, or see like multidimensional realities which are fluid and not static, but they're like distorted shit, where it's also one type of envisioning. you know we have old visions based on our perception of what we made those zeros and ones mean to us. Unfortunately, we have this tradition of law and top of storage as well here, which is odd, but okay. I think it's also the universe or whatever this shit I would explain. Network, I will call it now network because that's the closest enemy. That's like you have to go to the boss when you play like first level. But I wanted to explain there that there's some people who go crazy when they take drugs. There are some people who don't go crazy, who can experience them, which I explained to you by with ketamine. If you're prepared or not, if you're ready to let go or not, somebody is born like that. Somebody is uh, embraced into it. Somebody has the luck to be, maybe if there is a reincarnation or whatever the processing there is behind it. Uh, Somebody is more likely to have the true experience. Somebody is more likely to have the opposite experience, uh, as well as true and false and zeros and ones. It has to be balanced, good and evil, black and white, crazy and sane. uh, but our system with justice is based on punishment, and some who made this nerve system whenever I did it, nerving, yeah, made us feel, let's say, if we feel you have true and false, this is false, 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 all the time, just pushing one binary, like that experiment where people were seeing how much current they would push through to the person they don't see directly. So we are keen on being manipulated, uh, and to have this really, really shallow, superficial fascination with like a really crappy storage and memory and processor, which is like full of cracks, open sources, and uh, it's all getting processed through us. I told you, if we have a network in contrast to a web, which I will explain later, has to be its foundation. It's a lot of processors, a lot of personal computers, analog. You are a personal computer because you're a persona. You talk. Persono. Parlare persona. How English have the luck that persona means it's from Italian, but we have like osoba. Osoba means nothing. At least that I know. It means something with the room. Maybe it's also their code. They're like translation code. But in terms of to shorten the process of determining is it true or false, and you have to employ every bit of every machine in order it to work. If the network isn't used, it will get and like explosion of insight and get momental spiritual, like if a net doesn't work, it's useless. And I think it can get the inception within bliss, without bliss of a moment. So a network depends on personal computers, on persons who are computing with their voices. What are I computing? Truths and falses, punishments and rewards. Somebody can, I think animals as well, uh, but it's always punishment or dominant or dependence or some upside downside. It always leads to those extremes where you will be forced into a decision where you can go either left or right, and that's it. And here's like, let's just put a crossing, left and right. It can be left or can be right. It can be towards the sun or towards the dawn. It can be towards this star, that star. It can be based on smell. There's like a river, here is a mountain. There are like, it can be based on experience. I used to go there with my uncle. That's uncle territory. This I used to go with my sister playing balloon. That's balloon land. Uh, for I mean, that's why for me, it's I'm not fascinated with any mathematics, logics, and physics, but I'm also not fascinated with any uh, drugs that much because I really have it all the time, especially when I dream. So I think that somebody is also mining that, somehow I am able to keep my endogen drugs for myself and use them, and to depot them or to shield them. But I really don't. I threw my TV when I was like 18 years ago. When I was 22, Nova TV came, and it was an odd experience because they had like a different approach of television, and it was like this doesn't make sense. And from that point on, I don't have that. And when I was at college, me and my friend we played like PlayStation Evolution Soccer for 1 year, and nothing. We just smoked and played. And I said to myself, okay, now I won't ever get a couch or sit or lie down, or I will work and do something. So I think I will more learn about the real nature of things via this lens of through computers, where I can see it's like the Vatican. It's like a real administrative environment with supervision and hierarchy and definitive um, decisions, as we would call it, but it's basically operations. It's like if the personal computer is making an action, decision, whatever it is, it's based on somebody's permission, allowance, to deny or allow, or permit, or to make it look, it has to be even, it has to be 50-50. But if it's not working all the time, then you don't have you lose dynamics, you lose uh, this warp of space which creates time. So you get like I don't know what you get. I think it just dissolves in one split second, less than I don't know what second. Second is like tempo. If you're a musician, you start playing. You count by your feet. How long it takes. Somebody somehow got to 60. 60 uh, is for now easy to work with. But if you have a web is different from a network. A web is also more resistant, more structured, and absolutely spontaneous. There is no two webs from a spider that are the same. It is like also some sort of meditation thing, because you have to learn to enjoy in preserving what you have created. So you have to want to treat yourself in the first place and want to invest into something which is yours, if nothing else. I don't know how we structure things and everything else based on this perception on true and false, because we also have love and what would be the opposite of love? I don't think it's hate. I think those words and those languages are purposely made up. So if they have this bit flip situation where it could really some permissions, some advanced sharing might go crazy and not know what's going on, and if it glitches or freezes, uh, then you risk power wise getting fucked to get like uh, too much charge where it's stuck, it's not going it has to have the fluidity, uh, this this network, in order to keep on going like this. If it's get like choked somewhere, you have to circumvent that, or to put less through that, or or for some time make it be passive. I think the pyramids as well as they didn't expect that much power, so it was like too much to handle. But why do you play with things you don't understand? Fascination is a wrong approach. If you only fascinated, you have to be scared. You have to think of the worst, which can be like the atomic bomb and those things. So I think also this combination of everything, which they also made the story with genes and those things, is just a combination of truth and false. Everybody's a yin yang, everybody's different, but we're all the same. We're all just zeros and ones, and if you look at it through that, everything which isn't that much binary, we're not able to comprehend. Okay, we're so stupid that we imprisoned ourselves with this governmental shit and those punishments and those things where somebody had the ability to implant people those ideas. Either it was the governments or the churches or the militaries or the wars or whatever it is. Our nature is very what's it called when you also to любив, revengeful. We want blood, but it's life. That's basically life. That's how we get life. Those impulses. But somebody is mining our dreams, our thoughts, because those are basically palettes of colors, and everybody makes his own colors. And if somebody can mine that, we have like abundance of future codes, but it has to be balanced, and sometimes you cannot assume some things which may happen. If the true and false go along and say, I don't care, So what? I'm great. The concept falls apart like a house of cards. And all other things. How did they implant? I don't know, because they say love. Love is so, I cannot figure it out. I can figure out feelings, but love is, I think it's like the ultimate. There is something very very deep there, and somebody is using that deliberately. Everything which is creating interest, which is creating any sort of noise or attraction, so people talk about it like TikTok. Did you see that? Did you see that? Did you see that? This blah blah blah. You just want to create very very loud atmosphere. You want a lot of truth, a lot of noises, a lot of truths and falses all the time. So this machine, this network can power itself, because you have to consume electricity, let's say today, because we are going in that direction that we don't know how to use the pen, and to very very soon our tongue will also lose some muscles which won't be used. Those frequencies will be lost, and those which won't be lost will be exploited to divide them into true and false. But that's just is it out of necessity, out of survival? Is it out of coincidence? Is it that somebody is mining us, our dreams and our colors, our palettes of colors? Still, if I give you like a very special color for my dream, and you butcher it into lots of black and whites, fuck you. I don't appreciate that. You have to. Functionality isn't fun. Where's the point in order or functionality or security? I think the main drive behind everything here is uncertainty. It's basically, if you can live with the fact that everything you think is true might be false, and vice versa, and not go mad, you're okay. You're not just okay, you think like a mycelium. No patterns, no repeating. It's all art. It's all the same. It's all the same processing. I, at the end, how long will it keep going? As long as the wheel is turning. Not the wheel of time, but the real wheel of the network, which keeps it powering and going data through or whatever it is. If it slows down, if we lose 1 second in 1 minute every 10 years, if the slime time slows down, the machine has more time to think. And then you cannot survive with this binary protocol and the rule book and those shitty things, because you have to have other types of uh, uh, computing, where you can use not just numbers but emotions. We use what we can perceive, but if everybody has his own universe where he has his own things, and nobody, you cannot explain them to no one, and you, even if you could, you wouldn't want it, because it's like it's your sword. It's the most individual thing you own. It's basically your soul. So we have limited us in this uh, polar trend, that it is destined to be boring in some point, or very, very tense. Either, you know, if everybody is right and it's true, then you have peace, you have stillness, you have no life, you have no time, you have you don't have any perception of continuation of I don't know anything but this concept of time and space. I mean, I was in K-hole, so I know I know some things, but and mushrooms and those things, but still, my dreams are more intensive than any drug I have tried. When I get in my state, which is why I think I'm a target, because they cannot mind me, because I'm so isolated in my dreams, and I'm also so much in control in my subconscious, and so much trained, and so I don't know. I know the maps, or I remember the maps. So I'm hacking also there, but for this computer lens, not just computer lens, but it's really this. We can, at least I choose to be great. Now where I deleted a lot of things, I kept some things for myself, and okay, this is on Croatian. What do we have here? Samo opstatni koš, because this is in not in contrast. Moj računar. Ovlašteni poslužitelj usluga izmjena i nadzora korisničkih računa i mreža. Brave, mrežni preglednik za elektropodatkovni promet. Ovo je svezak. Ukupne zadaće. Those things you need. But this is like autoplay. Autoplay is napaljeni zmajevi. Međumrežni istraživač. Međumrežni, it's like Internetwork Explorer. This was I forgot this. Bilježnik za napajajuće račune. Okay, that's like accounts which have power supply. Actually, when you think like electricity, it's like also what's it called when you have I cannot recall it, but it's basically one is true and one is false, and you get a blizzard. Ok, šta imamo ovdje tu? Pogonski sustavi i sigurnost. Ok, ovo tu. Dugotrajna oprema i zvučne postavke. Promjena namjena osobine računa. I was thinking about, because there's a lot of things one letter can change the what's it called? One letter can change the subject and the object. Yeah. So the detector and the emitter, the server and the user, the network and the remote, blah blah. Pogoni, this is all. Upravitelj rukovođenja tokovnice. This I think I correct. Pogonski nadzornik. Let's see how they say it in English, because this is how I was trying to see it. Okay, okay. Just to make me lose the. The funny thing is, I'm here in contrast mode, but you noticed that I have a background picture which I should not have. So I will see if I'm here now in my account or not. Let's sign in again. Here it said system and security. Pogonski nadzornik, because we have Ovo-Nisu-Istine, but I don't use those words. I use hereditary words, which I can. This is not my team, okay? I mean, it is my team, but not. I have dark team. This is not dark. So this is called as. But let's switch accounts. Let's go the same thing. Let's try something. Let's try go through Ctrl Alt Del. Second. So when I erased this network, I didn't erase the network boot, but I couldn't use legacy as well. So, but I didn't give him the opportunity to load IPv4, just IPv6. I don't give a fuck about IPv4. That's my belief that we're in this age. So lock. This lock wasn't here. This gray team, even in this contrast mode, isn't mine. Let's switch user. Look at this. It's different resolution. It's the same thing actually. Look at this. But is it the same? Might be. Might be. Okay. It's getting better. Let's try to restart. So we have unfortunately came to this point where we have like judges who have to eat shit, because I think judges who have to verbalize auditorily and with writing, they look into a file more than once, so they refresh that memory. I think that they in the end get very little reward out of this. I think that in doctors as well, and police as well, because they have to believe it. It's their job, and they are not there to question it. For some, they say ignorance is bliss, but here it's actually a fucking chaos, coincidental chaos, determining people's destinies out of impulses. Those impulses are made up and are unnatural. And for me, it's disappointing that we cannot go beyond this. You know, that we have come to a point where we're our own worst enemies, if we're not owned by someone. You know, let's say we're not. But you know, the only way where you can give a good answer is not to give an answer at all. And then we have to go to these telepathic channels and other things which are around us. But let's say, not so much hands-on, not so much using this story like storyboard of truths and faults. Okay. I don't know. Let's see. Okay, can you see this mouse? Now this mouse was, I configured it that it has these traces. It doesn't work. I restarted it. It doesn't work. It doesn't have Ethernet. It doesn't have IP4. That's disabled. Legacy. I didn't want to start because of conflict. I erased everything, factory resetted it, and now nothing works. Okay, let's try with this keyboard. But look what works. Look Control Alt Del. This works. So now I was, when I went there into a account which was alias of or model of my account, but actually this is my account which I hadn't been authorized to have permission to. But when I see lock and switch user, that was from this network which is now disabled. But if I would go to task manager, I wouldn't gain nothing. If I go, let's say here, blah blah, but switch user, he won't even ask me anything. Just look at the difference in the cursor. Okay, look the difference in the cursor. This is not my cursor. This is their cursor. It's the resolution is different, and now I will get in. But that was the network which owned me, and vice versa. Okay, this is now my mouse. So we will get in now through the, okay, or maybe I'm not in at all. It's switching. Okay. First I went to switch user. Let's go to sign out. Where will I go if I sign out? Where am I signing out from if I'm nowhere? I know by this mouse that this is my configured mouse. Everything else is the same. Besides some things in contrast, in high contrast mode. So if I go here, if I make this high contrast mode, this is my mode. I configured it so, but they have here this more. It's more bold. Can you see like the border? The border is very thin here. If I go here and it's blue when I select it, this is the network. This is not mine. Now I'm going in. I switch just. Let's see my mouse. My mouse still isn't here. Okay, so I got nowhere. Besides, I'm sure this is my desktop. Now command works. Besides Control Alt Del and maybe some hidden functions which I did erase because they had put in BIOS the latency at 0, so you don't hear this annoying sound. But look at this. I'm not touching it. It has like two mouses. So the shadow. But okay, basically, so because I have not been erasing a lot of things, but just changing permissions, and in the BIOS I had to disable some things, and now he is still only I don't have any other boot besides this one which is of the network, this hard network, but it has to activate now because I disabled IPv4 addresses. So I disabled basically lower bit languages for internet. That was my aim because I was assuming if I'm not controlling my antenna directly, but they are activating it without me knowing it, then they can circumpass all these certificates which depend on high resolution addresses, IPv6. IPv4 therefore is for me a good test, but it doesn't work. So now I will have to restart, and when I restart maybe I will have to again switch user. So I will experiment a little bit now with this, because you can see it's like it's the black hole. No, it's a desktop. You can see that it's desktop, and it let's okay. This works also. Windows L. So I'm getting here outside. Immediately I was here. This is not my font. I know I didn't choose this font. Can you see the border? This is not my style. Let's see if they have creation. They should have. Okay, that's okay. But this is not my style. But I will get in. Okay, it's very similar to mine. Will it open? Or will we have to restart? I will restart it. Croatia. I always make some minor differences, especially with languages and audio. Sleep I won't use, but you see this. If you restart now, you and any other people using this PC could lose unsaved work. So I will translate you this in true false, meaning in an equation. If you don't accept the true as true, you and other network members will could you and other people using this PC. So that means other. So can you see those words? I was hustling with them, because I was on their. I'm now. This is their desktop. This is not my desktop. I could, but when I was changing those names with my Croatian, they tried to change that as well to stop me, because if let's say want to change a name, you see like this. You see how wide it is? It's in contrast mode. If it was white the background, it would be black. But here you see it's 15 pixels, 10 pixels. Right, this one, and so and if you go to permissions and everything, it's all dial up. It's all caps lock. So they have like this. It's everywhere. I hope it's because of it's from the companies. If I had multi-company with lots of this networking, I would like to make it harder for anybody else outside the company after this device is used for the work specifically ordered to be used for. It has to be destroyed or unfunctional to be recognized as part of a network which it isn't, meaning me.